Hey, good morning. 30 August, day 352 on the Mayan calendar. I did a long video and my frame was such that my cranium got decapitated, but the content of what I say is what's important. I spoke a lot about money. I want to add a few things in summary here that I didn't address to make sure we're all on track. I gave you the bottom line up front in the subsequent segment. Here we go. So very quickly, you can take a good look at this. Note the shekel. Notice the almighty dollar. In God we trust. Notice our earth. Notice that they ran things out of Pine Gap. That's our collective opinion, the point. And we're going to rise up. So this is a way of introducing the subsequent segment and supporting videos that you get to watch on money. You know, when I was a kid, my mother's youngest sister's name was Mary. She was like 13 or so when I was born. So she liked to hold me and teach me stuff. So the first word she taught me was, light, looking at a light bulb. Light, light. And the other word was money. That's my Aunt Mary. All right, get ready. Remember now that Popeye loved spinach, and he loved olive oil. And Bluto, well, Wimpy was a beggar. He was heavy. He wanted a hamburger. He'd gladly pay you Tuesday for a hamburger today. Good morning, Earthwalkers, humans, and others with the ability to hear and see. We're going to talk about money and investing for a newer future. I've got supporting videos to show you how things work. But first I'd like to hit you with the bottom line up front. BLUF. It's a military term that means if your boss is busy and you have a briefing for 15 minutes, you better get the most important stuff out in the first 3 and then expand on it in case he has to leave. So the bottom line up front is you have to go up to the stars. We're ancient beings. We took the veil of forgetfulness and we're all millions of years old, so we've got a lot of relearning to do. For those of us that are staying here on this planet, and others, we were Lyran up in the stars, 12th dimensional. Lions are Lyrans. You have to go up to Vega and the surrounding region. So we went exploring to a nebula and met the Draco at Hollywood Park with the reptiles in physical form. So it was introductory. We played around, got to know each other, and all us lions went back to our homes in Lyra, Vega. Well, once we left, the Draco said, hey, who were those guys? Why did they think that they, look, you guys, come with us and let's go invade them and take over their stuff, because they come here and they, you know, the psyop. So the stupid reptiles say, okay, and they follow. So they invaded us, and we got dumbed down to 2 strands. And there's a planet called Nibiru that missed its rising ascension in Sirius C. It's an independent planet. It orbits a different way than Earth. So there's a love relationship there between the two planets, Nibiru and Gaia. But Nibiru wants to go home and catch up to its fellow planets that have disappeared to our telescopes in Sirius C. Our planet, mirror to Gaia, is called Karnak. And Nibiru is in the orbit there. So many, many moons ago, it moved around the Sirius constellation and then spotted Gaia and came our way with the Anunnaki on board. Senior Anunnaki personnel follow Anu, Enki, natural son, and Enlil, his stepbrother. Now I have to go parabolic here because those stepbrothers are from different planets, just like your family members. Anu, turns out, most recent incarnation was Zbigniew Brzezinski. He's gone. Enki was Henry Kissinger. He's gone. He was Henry Goringa and moved the Eye of the Needle to Central Park. The Anunnaki crashed into the Gulf region, Arcadia and Sumer, long ago. We were doing just fine. Adam and Eve story's a bunch of bullshit. The world was not created in 7 days, and on the seventh day God rested. Day 1, day 2, they put all these things into existence. But there's truth in the Bible. The Spirit dwelled upon the water. It's second density, fourth octave, a waterborne insect. And Kissinger, being Enki, has been responsible for a lot of stuff on this planet since he touched foot on the ground. They control their own reincarnations, and if you look at the senior members of what's going on around here, you've got Hillary, who's Jezebel, Bill, who's Ahab, Donald Trump is Julius Caesar, Joe Biden is Soul Swapper Genghis Khan, Chairman Z is King Solomon, Vlad Putin is Arcturan, Rick Scott was Caligula, the guy from France, Macron, is Napoleon. He's involved in the story of money. And the list goes on. So you were somebody special. You sort of controlled your reincarnation as well. No sort of, you did. But it's a level of awareness that the interlife exists. Vannevar Bush discovered through channeling with the Concordon, Italy and Germany. I'm coming in near term. A Concordon between Aldebaran and the Draco. The Draco are the Vatican, command and control. Ukrainians call them that. The fake Hebrews, who are draconian. Ukraine and Israel leadership, Netanyahu, all equal draconian. Zelensky, Netanyahu, Borat, they're all tied together. So the social memory complex is a Luciferian social memory complex. I would stake my wager that Jared Kushner is Lucifer. His wife now, Cleopatra, was taken from Trump. Kushner doesn't wear a red hat. He's a Mets fan. Trump's more of a Yankee Steinbrenner guy. Rudy got Rudied by Borat, and on and on. So to stay on the collective, it's the Draco on top, Hollywood, Fabian, the reptiles, put their features in humans now. They were extincted 70 million years ago. But our Creator gives them another shot in body. So you might have been a dinosaur. they grow their tails back. They were good dinosaurs, like the ones that ate out of trees and stuff. You know, Dino. There's always good. Dragons, Truth, Excalibur. You've got a being from so far back called Quetzalcoatl. It's like Puff the Magic Dragon. So our Creator and the light is always present. But money is needed. We're going to go to DNA as a change in value. During this video, I'm going to discuss the history with some video support. Now that I've given you the top and the controllers, please know that with the Concordant in Vatican I and Vatican II, 38 to 2018, George Bush being King of the Dark Sun from, going the wrong way, the time he joined the CIA. You see, he was rescued at sea. Adolf Hitler picked him out. He wanted the job of leadership, and he got it with Vatican II. They spun the priest around for him to speak English for us. If you're old enough to remember, Pope John Paul the 23rd had said, no, Pope John the 23rd said, let some fresh air in. Pius the 6th, Pope, the fuck was his name? Pope Paul was the man for a long time. Then the church got scrambled up and we have two popes. One was a Nazi altar boy and the other one is a fucking Draco named Francis, who appeared in at the halfway point of the tribulation, 23 September 2017. Two things happened at the midway point. Francis went to Ziggurat Temple, and Jizzy Ben David did a wall bobble on the 27th of March, the halfway point of the tribulation. Through Indianapolis, just this year. So money goes back a long way. Joseph of Arimathea ran the Maritime Navy for the Hebrews to import copper and gold and do all the things for the statues for Rome. It was heavy cover. Alchemy was transferred because of what he did generations after. But he was Mary's uncle or great uncle, tied to Elizabeth as well, and Yeshua, obviously, through David. Saul was king first. He was of the tribe of Benjamin. He had a daughter named Michal. David loved her. He had to get 100 foreskins. That was the exchange of value. 100 foreskins for his wife. So he got her. They loved each other. And then Saul got jealous and nervous about David and put him in jail. And Michal let him out. Appeared before King Saul and said, hey, you freaking forced this marriage. I love the man. You got him in prison. I let him out. He didn't do anything to her. Then she had problems with David later, and David had a lot of wives. But that's an important one for divine masculine, divine feminine. She's beautiful. Michal. Wife 3 was Abigail. She was married to a rich Hebrew, Nabal. David had killed an Anunnaki giant with a slingshot, and him and his fellow boys were on the run, needing food en route to his kingdom. So he sent word forward to Nabal to, hey, we need food here. Him, being a rich, selfish, non-caring, status quo, said, tell him to pound sand. So David had gotten that word and was coming to get him. Meanwhile, Abigail, who had been aware of all this, sent out a bunch of resupply stuff, went and met David before he arrived, fell at his feet and said, please forgive us. My husband didn't know, words to the effect of, please don't kill him. So David backed off and didn't forget. but Nabal died of a heart attack. Then he came back, met her, and married her, his wife 3. Jacob Israel is Jacob of the Bible, by the way. He's on YouTube. So Joseph of Arimathea, I believe, was an alias, his real name. And in the temple, he was known as Hillel, way deep in the Sanhedrin. The Blessed Mother delighted in Hillel because of the inside knowledge. And it's all very deep, the Essenes, E-S-S-E-N-E. They dug caves. Joseph of Arimathea's tomb was the one Yeshua was put in after the crucifixion, and they had it pre-planned. The Essenes were excellent at using products to make perfume and oils. That was their expertise, even though they were essentially communists in terms of, hey, isolated, do their own thing. They taught in Qumran. They went to Alexandria and Egypt very quietly from Carmel. So John was raised after Elizabeth dropped him off with Matheno, who's in my personal soul tapestry. He took a bath. He rose up. He was a wildebeest, talking to people about what was coming. Prepare yourself. It was his cousin, but one generation back, but they were the same age. Mary was very young when she had Yeshua, and Elizabeth was a little bit older. They were closer as relations. So after his baptism, he went to the desert. He was tempted by the negative collective, and it's all included in the Alliance of Lord Marduk, S-A-A-L-M, that's still online. I won't put a copy on my cover, but if you Google S-A-A-L-M and Lord Marduk, you'll come up with a page and supporting stuff. There's many sites to go to, but if you find one that's got the details I'm referring to, Brzezinski, and remember, he's got a daughter, Talking Head, MSNBC. Brzezinski and Kissinger are an appearance. 2012, Nibiru was supposed to come crashing in here and wreak havoc and mess this place up, another deluge. Maybe direct contact to destroy it, like they want to do at the CERN. But in 2012, it stopped. There was a breach. It's all recorded on this SAALM document. Lord Marduk was in row 2 at Bush's funeral. Chinese-looking triangle head. And he picked out Kimberly Ann Goguen. This is back to money now, because she was born to a positive Anunnaki to do money in the Swift Code. Kimberly Ann Goguen. Then you've got Russell J. Gould, who captured the U.S. flag with a gold coin and assumed the position which he holds to this day as our postmaster. The original postmaster was Benjamin Franklin. Well, Ben helped put us in debt. He's Michael Sedona, by the way. But it was a deal with the French spy, Washington, hermaphrodite, in the future, Barbara Bush. She was bled out with leeches, good blood, bad blood, because they didn't have pills and injections, but they had animals and biting and cannibalism and all the shit. Yeah, they were that bad. The elite ones that run it, that you vote for, that wrote our Constitution and built our prisons, and the document means we're born broke because we were in debt. The King of England sent gold, millions of francs worth of gold, to the King of Spain, because Spain was there first. They'd come over from the south with Obama, Columbus, ripped through the bottom of everything. He never set foot in America. Slaves came with him. Michelle's got a penis. She probably did then. Nina Pinta Santa Maria. Well, the Knights Templar were on those boats, as well as monks that recorded what happened. Michael of Our Everyday Lives in Fort DeSoto, near Daytona, is St. Augustine. So Joseph of Amarthea was like a merchant marine. He had all the badges to go, and he took Yeshua up to England with the Druids. I don't know that John went on trips. I would say probably. He made it for a while. I mean, he was 30 when he was honored to baptize Yeshua. Our Creator said, I'm pleased with him. Then he went to the desert for the interdiction. Lord Marduk is the son of Enki. Marduk is the son of Enki, naturally. So Henry Goringa had sex with an Oriental lady from the dragon family or something and produced him. Then Goringa died. He knew Roosevelt and everything else, another bloodthirsty, safari hunting cannibal that was smart enough to drink gin and tonic. So all these Alkies from back then that were drinking gin and tonic were immune to dengue and viruses in the jungle. Duterte wanted to give people the pig vax. Governor Hoke, after Como, said if you're not vaccinated, you can't work in a New York State hospital. So the vaccine is an abomination. It's the mark of the beast with the PCR test. There's a being called Thoth. Everybody likes Thoth now. We're rising up together. Lucifer is up there too, and way up in fifth density. Star Wars, everything you want to know, every thought ever thunk, all the way up to fifth density, seventh octave. 5.8 is a crossover to 6.0. That's heaven. At the 5.8 level, they got everything, but they're ready to fight. They got weapons. At 6.0, everybody drops their weapons, and we're in heaven. We have peace, and that's where we're going on this timeline. The last death on this planet is 2111. So to bring it in close, Napoleon surrenders. He was out politicking. The general, whoever the hell he was, who was at the Battle of Waterloo for England, went through the ritual of the surrender, the white flag and all that shit. England and France. Napoleon was not even there, but he was a terror. Mason. Hand in here. I think Loyola. Loyola's another one. Wounded in the army. Went into the Pyrenees Mountains and recluse for a while. Came out and had to get to the Pope and explain that suffering is part of the thing, so let's project it. And I'm telling you, back in the day, the Dark Ages and prior to that, it was sinister. You want to talk about torture. Hot poker irons into women. It's in Horns of the Goddess by Dolores Cannon. So, Napoleon, I've covered kind of the time of Yeshua and how money was working then for them, the Phoenicians. Maritime currency. 250 years ago, this window opened up where the surrender happened. There was a spotter out to witness the ritual. He got across the English Channel. The channel didn't exist yet. Got to Rothschild on the betting floor, the market of the day, you know, East India Trading Company, they had tea, India, chips, whatever they could put together for being the lead of colonizing all over the place. There wasn't a World Bank yet. It was the king, the one that sent the money to Spain. So when Rothschild got the news on the floor, he heard it. Everybody was watching him because it was exciting. You know, the news had come. It wasn't a teletype yet. He went to the window to make his trades, and he sold all his English shit. So all the followers, like we do now, you get the news, you follow what you think is best. Wham! Brought the market down. Now, during that window, Franklin's rising up. Washington's in place over in America. And the debt was paid, and we own the debt, and it's increased ever since then. Although we worked out of it, In maritime law, you get 3 strikes. One was that, because we were born broke. 2 was Abe Lincoln. He'd gotten us John Jacob Astor of Astoria, Queens, who went out west, skinned everything alive, so he made a lot of money, paid a lot of tax. Everybody was milking and honeying and working and paying tax, and we worked our way out of debt. Then Lincoln was engineered to free the slaves. After talking about Negroes in the newspapers, many of them had a good life. They didn't need money. They had their masters, they had food, they had their faith, and they were good. The white masters inbred with the women. Jimmy the Greek got fired for it. It happened, you know? Don't hold anybody responsible for what happened. I'm explaining how we got here. So our Constitution is a broke document. And again, we build prisons. We have the right to religion so they could worship, you know, Saturnalia. Hillary is a witch out in L.A. It's dark. So there was a man named Bill Hill who talked about the history of money. And a lot of this was covered. He passed away. I just learned it. He made his retirement speech, which we'll listen to a little bit of, and then he was gone. 2 months later, February 2020. He retired in December 2019. Looking well, working for a company that does GPS scheduling for buses. Pretty heavy stuff. And he opened my eyes to the history of money. See, the United States does not own the Treasury. We have a secretary, but he liaisons with the Fed, the Federal Reserve, the IRS. They're not a part of the U.S. government. They change interest rates. We learn it. And Janet Yellen and all these other folks that run it are in charge. They have meetings. They make decisions. They don't ask the president for any of this shit. They counsel the presidents before they take office about how it really works. Trump knew all this, so he starved out Egypt when he was in power. Didn't give them any foreign internal defense money. That's a big part of our budget to go, United States now, to go fund all the other armies in the world with your tax dollars. Thank you very much. So when Trump was in, he cut off Egypt, his favorite dictator. My fellow ROTC cadet I always mention, Frank Phillips, hosted the old man, the current president, Al-Sisi, at Fort Benning when he was a captain, because we take them in. Egyptians, Saudis. I was with them at Fort Huachuca. South Americans, Kumbaya, Colombians, School of the Americas. Nothing with the Taliban. We went over there completely. What'd we do over there? $1 trillion for a clone. Tim Osman is a U.S. alias, probably still around somewhere. Kissinger in World War II had let all the Nazis out. Goring, you name it. Hitler. They all lived in South America, the United States. Goringo was given recluse here in America, and he went down to the Dumbs. Holly Baglio knows him. He tortured her. Holly Baglio. I'll have to CC her on this. So that's how we got put in debt. The third strike, strike 2 was Lincoln, to borrow to make the Civil War happen. Then the third strike was predicted by Russell J. Gould, who got beat up on the bus as a kid, rose up, got smart, knew that the teachers were fucked up, told his grandmother, I ain't going back to college. So he made her a bet. There's no election on the right day in 99, I ain't going to college. So they made a little grandmotherly to grandson bet. He won because of the hanging Chad. George Sr. had it all calculated so his dunce could get in, who earns votes from Texas. Waterboarding is not torture. So because of the hanging Chad, we went mathematically broke. Meaning if you add up all the taxpayers in America, let's say we got no assistance from the outside world. They raised the debt ceiling. It's because the other countries use treasuries and savings bonds and all this other shit to append to our budget. All these foreign nations, Japan and China, big. Now they want to play because then the game is still active and they can continue to trade. But along comes BRICS. Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Vlad Putin running it, him and Chairman Z. You'll see some footage here about North Korea getting interdicted way back when. A train blew up in the far north. And when I worked on the watch in North Korea, or in the Republic of Korea, me as an MI guy, we had to watch all this activity. SIGINT, IMINT. We worked in shifts. I was a night shift guy, I was a day shift guy. We had to move around based upon the personnel on staff. Much of the reporting that would come in pretty routinely was our SIGINT had the capacity to listen to the North Korean maintenance guys and everything going on with airflow up there in Pyongyang and could tell us what was happening through the National Security Agency, what they were saying. And it was about loading up them Russian airplanes from Pyongyang with shit tons of gold to go to the communist bloc, the proletariat. It never died. These things don't die. The relationship, him and Z are dear friends at the top. Z has the Communist Party with the pending Earth Dollar and the Lee family that Chairman Z will disassociate from. Putin forgave South Africa, so they have BRICS. They have all the gold, storage of value, and currency to be able to deal with the rest of the world. So BRICS is coming for us. Now there's Bitcoin. That's another story. Invented by, some Japanese name. And it's a CIA fund mathematically. So there's 120 or something million Bitcoins eligible to be produced, and they're not supposed to finish, according to what prognosticators say, until 2140 because of the computer power required to do the math to generate an electronic Bitcoin, which then can be fractionalized out for trading. Now, Donald Trump hates everyone. Donald Trump did the art of the deal with China when COVID hit in October. The art of the deal, his co-author said he's fucked up. He gave away our food at pre-negotiated prices. When that deal was signed, right in that 2020 window, October 19 is when COVID hit. Military Olympics, Event 201, the financial deal, Mercury moves fast. There's chem biolabs all over the world. Fort Detrick, the white powder, these fuckers let it out. So they consolidated in Wuhan, put shit on the trophies, nailed some people, secondary plus 5G excitement, and away we go with COVID. The news says it, Trump listens, and he's, I'm ahead of the game, and he shuts things down, and the Democrats are mad because why'd you do it? So Trump was in a no-win situation, but he's fucking Caesar, so he don't give a shit. He bangs his daughter. How disgusting. I shouldn't use such a crude word because I think Ivanka Trump may come with us and ascend. She's a good lady. She endured incest. She's distancing herself from her father. She's married to Lucifer. He's another story. Now, Ivanka went with him over to, as a non-state actress, over to Netanyahu for the false peace. You see, Kushner negotiated the false peace. UAE and Bahrain. Ahmadinejad came to the table. Saudis are fine with it. They're fucking egg layers. They've joined BRICS. OPEC. So let's size it up for America. We're way the hell broke. Now there's BRICS. Other countries are going to look that way as a parental, hey, seems like you are forgiving and like a little bit normal. Meanwhile, we got two-party madness over here. We're in debt up to our eyeballs, and we're in deep shit over here. If the Chinese wanted, if the Russians wanted, they could take us out with a 1-2 punch. We would never know what hit us. And if you're on the live organ donor program on a certain timeline, they're going to come cut you out. If you're an old white man, they need butlers. And it could happen if we keep voting for these numbskulls. So what's going to happen with the election very quickly is, talking Trump being 70% in the lead, he's fucking the ball. He's gone. He almost got killed by an ET from the Orion. This collector's from Orion. He almost got killed by an ET. His high self tilted out of the way. And he got dinged. So he could, and he's scared, he's fearful, and he's out of office right now. He's a non-state actor. But he's tied in with the Mossad. Lucifer's his son-in-law. He switched. He wears a yarmulke. He was a Jesuit. And now he has his eyes out. He blames China to this day for COVID. He knows damn well better about all the shit. But he hates China. He's the opposition guy. The fucking dumbass signed the deal that gives away our bread belt food and e-currency on a sliding scale. So the Chinese major production is Three Gorges Dam for Bitcoin. They're the world's leading producer, using all that hydropower to produce. The Mossad has pre-planted shit in there, and they're going to detonate that. It's already rotten out and everything, these reservoirs and shit. And when it goes, it's going to flood. You want to talk about 5 Chinese brothers. You ever read that book as a kid? Drinking all the water and stuff. It's a great kid's book. We love Chinese. The women are beautiful. They're all coming over here on visas. They got the West Coast saturated with Forex. Vancouver's gone totally Chinese, liberated. But they got their smartphones and they were let out for a reason. They dominate Vancouver. The real estate agent stuff is in Mandarin. So you have Taiwan, the free part, and mainland China, started with Mao Zedong, all the way through to Chairman Xi. The Kim dynasty's a fucking joke. Oh, the great North Korean leader, the great leader, fucking psychophants. The second guy was damn near retarded. I think he got dropped on his head. Clinton met with him and Podesta. But the new guy, hand in coat, trained in Switzerland. There's a Swiss bank. There's a Vatican bank. They're all in it together. Where does all the blood go when people die? See, the Jews don't drain blood. They lay there on ice for 24 hours or whatever. They get it over with and they get them where they're going. There's no cremation either, which is besides the point. Where does the blood go for your relative when they die? They fill them up with some other chemical and that's it. And you pay out the ass to bury somebody. So when Three Gorges Dam goes, it's going to alter the Bitcoin production capacity for China. And you have to look at Bitcoin kind of like Manhattan Island. If you wanted a nice penthouse, like Trump, like the lady that owned Mar-a-Lago before him, they did the primo stuff. So Manhattan, let's say Manhattan's where it's at. All the food comes in there, Peter Stuyvesant, worldwide, New York City. That's where 9/11 happened, obviously, but Manhattan. It's finite. There's only so many houses. So if everybody wanted to move to Manhattan, there's only so many houses. Now translate that to Bitcoin. Owning Bitcoin, having it is like having a little condo in Manhattan, even if it's a 2-bedroom. Even if it's off, closer to Greenwich Village or not in the pristine areas. That's a fraction of ownership. I'm doing an analogy. Now you've got some Bitcoin. Who knows where the price is going to go? The antivirus guy, McAfee, said $1 million. He bought a car with Bitcoin and he's allegedly dead. I kind of doubt it. He could be, but I doubt it. So this is a long introduction, but I'm giving you a broad scope as to the history of money, and we're going to get into some of the eaches with supporting video. I hope you like it. Today's 3/52, 30 August, on the Mayan Hob. We're going through a 6-day week on this planet. 3 weeks a month, 18 days times 20 is 360. And here's what I just recently learned. I was trying to get the numbers straight. You have to view 9/11 as day zero. You see, you're considered zero until you hit your first birthday. You do it a little bit differently in Korea. You know, well, let's put it this way. You know, the whole getting to the number one. You see the kid. How old is he? 6 months old. He's almost one. So you could say he's a 1-year-old, so it gets a little fuzzy. And I'm explaining that for the Mayan calendar, 9/11 is day zero. And when you run them through, it's incredible. 1 January is 111. I just redid the math on this. So we're on day 352 right now, which is 30 August. There'll be 5 lazy days in our future. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Lazy days of summer. And then we'll go to our next annum. Solstices, equinoxes. We're going back. It's going to be so wonderful. And it's important to share. So all you folks that want to hoard and overdo it might be making some bad decisions on the greed side. Make sure you share with other people. Those that are in need. The guy with the flat tire. He might not have a smartphone. Although they got him, they figure out a way to get the destitute people who live in the ghettos. They are on the cruise ships. They give them the last minute deals. And, you know, free smartphone with Obama, Wi-Fi. So you get around. I mean, they got them in Africa. They had a currency where if you play the games or whatever, you're accruing the token. You know, I got pretty diversified. I got cold storage. I got stuff that was illegal to get. Fuck them. Oh, you're not allowed to buy this. It's against the U.S. law to buy this token. You gotta be kidding me. You're talking to the wrong guy, you assholes. So, besides the point. Where are we going? Well, the U.S. is heavily broke. We're not going to get the financial support from other countries we need, the Treasury notes. The Saudis have pulled OPEC away and attached the BRICS. So no longer will it take $1 to trade for oil from the Saudis, price per barrel. It was a scaling thing. So look at the United States now. No supplementary currency. A bunch of taxpayers that are broke with iPhones and $20 plans that can't even make their rent. But they say, well, we can't do it. If you add us all up without any help, you can't pay it. And when you look at the numbers, they're staggering. You know, Rumsfeld, 9/10, says, we'll lose a trillion gone. We need to investigate. They bring the IG investigators to the wall that got hit. And these guys are having their Cantor Fitzgerald moment of, hey, fellas, we have to investigate this. So same day, a drone hits that. American Airlines Flight 11 goes right underneath Cantor Fitzgerald and schwacks them out with the real Saudis who were hypnotized in Naples. Governor Jeb Bush governed that. The Saudi royalty came over and hypnotized them up with Cessna training and Microsoft Sims training. So they got to the Mons Venus and all the Florida shit, which ain't bad. And then they made their way up to Boston and Logan and took off. And there was a fucking gym rat who was on that plane. I've been given this. First-person testimony from a guy named Mike Urban, who was a proposed bid lead for a SOCOM contract, told me his friend, who was a retired backseater, a gym rat, was on American Airlines Flight 11. He's the one that called in. You know, all the recordings are all air traffic control shit. Then there's, Logan PD got patched in from his wife, but the TTP and protocols, because they flipped that fucking Navy guy out in Lebanon, don't do nothing. Don't wear your uniform. You're not in the military. Hide your identity. So he sat there when it all happened. He got his cell phone out and talked to these are little twerps. The guy could have kicked their asses in and flown the fucking plane and landed it. The pilot had free, there was no protection to the pilot. They'd come out and use the restroom, come out and chit-chat a bit. is a co-pilot. Now it's all changed. And how many terrorist attacks have there been since then? You had the shoe bomber, a couple of hypnotized things to make us think it's a big problem, but how many have there been? What, because of all the TSA screening, we caught them? Fuck that. That's just to terrorize us, to get us late for flights. The airports used to fund their own security until 9/11, and then it ramped up, and we got a whole fucking extra layer of government above the CIA for intel and all this shit. They just threw it on, that dunce. Tom Ridge from Pennsylvania, Billy Graham, all these fucking people praying and shit. They're fucking full of shit. Cocksuckers, all of them. Now, I'm not mad. I'm not a Christian either. I'm Christ, just like him. I'm allowed to forgive myself and be vegan and live to see it all. I've chosen this path, and I hope you have too. So, let's watch some videos. Cut. Okay, this is not the Bill Hill movie, but it's close. Nice and short, too.
Did you know that everything you've been told about the history of money might be completely wrong? Money, that little piece of paper or digital number that makes the world go round, has a surprising and mysterious past. Today, we're diving into the real history of money and uncovering some shocking truths. Forget what you learned about ancient people trading chickens for cows. That story isn't as true as you think. We're going to explore how money truly came about.
All right, peeps. Let's call a spade a spade. Big money, big pharma. You got that right. Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson, modified RNA, that's ribonucleic acid. The list goes on. They all developed in separate chem bio labs, different variants, to put out for different cause and effect. What did you take? My ex took one Johnson, didn't take the second shot. But you know, the head of Pfizer said he was going to rebuild the Georgia Guidestones in 666 days after it got taken down by the CERN. Right before that, Indigo Angel had talked about it right in front of it, and boom, it went. See, we're taking a power back. Let's continue.
About why it's so important and what it really
There had to be a time before money.
Spoiler alert. It's not just about gold coins and paper bills. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know the real story behind money and why it matters.
Anunnaki.
If that sounds interesting, let's get started.
Benny Franklin.
Lincoln. What exactly is money? At its core,
Barbara
money
Bush.
is
George Washington.
Measure and exchange value. Think about it. When you go to a store and ask how much something costs, they tell you the price in dollars or whatever the local currency is. They don't ask for chickens or apples. Throughout history, people have used all kinds of things as money, from shells and stones to gold coins and digital numbers on a screen. Money has taken many forms, but the one thing all these forms have in common is that they are agreed upon ways to trade and measure value. Money.
Okay, a quick interjection to show a little global aspect to this and some history. We'll get back to that video in a second. First you had Spain. No, the Anunnaki dropped into the Gulf. Sumer. Arcadia. They went west. Eventually they made it to Israel, looped down south, hit Spain. Right there at the tip of the Med, the Portuguese and the Spanish. So what'd they do? Well, you could see by the black arrow, they came over and they kept going. Columbus never set foot in America. Right there in the middle is that D.C. deal for the gold. Yeah, they went global. And as you can see by the orange, King George, he made it over to the inmates down to South Africa. That included the Philippines because they got the peso just like the Mexicans. And you've got Russia and China proper and India and the other South Africa that's rising up. And they're going to BRICS. So that's a summary of how the money went global. Very concise, but this is near-term history because the Anunnaki only dropped in with the RH negative. freaking 2,000-something years ago, BC. David's kingdom started in 1010. He didn't need no money. Yeshua didn't need any money to go heal the lepers. He never touched the government. Red, white, and blue, Uncle Sam pointing at you. Go to war! All right, let's get back.
Value. Money is kind of like a ruler. Just as a ruler measures length, money measures value. It's not the physical item that matters, but what it represents. You can't really touch the idea of a dollar, just like you can't touch an hour of time. Money is an abstract concept that we all agree on to
the brown
make
penny
and measuring value easier. Now let's talk about how money and debt are connected. When you hold a dollar bill or see a number in your bank account, you're actually looking at a kind of IOU. It's a promise that the money can be exchanged for goods or services. This idea of money as a promise is what connects it to debt. Imagine you borrow a dollar from a friend. You owe them something of equal value in return. That dollar represents your debt. Throughout history, money has often been used to keep track of these kinds of promises and debts. Creating money is the easy part. Getting people to accept it is the tricky bit. For instance, you might have heard of Dogecoin. It's a type of digital money, but most stores won't accept it. The money we use daily is typically issued and backed by governments, which is why it's widely accepted. Governments create demand for their money by requiring
I have a few friends that are into the whole token thing.
This makes people need the money and gives it value. So, while money is a tool for measuring value, it's also a way to manage and
these days, the best thing you can do is diversify and don't overdo it for yourself. Make sure you share with others. You're abundant.
This means that the government creates
we don't do that.
For example,
look at all the empty houses all over the place. No one lives there. It's like their second home.
The government makes people use their money by requiring taxes to be paid in it. If you have to pay taxes in dollars, you need to get dollars. This creates.
If everybody rented their second homes out, it would drop the prices due to competition.
It's also about necessity. Governments also use laws to make sure their money is accepted. When you see legal tender on a bill, it means the government says you must accept it for payment of debts. This backing by the state
you better pay in advance. Withholding, it's your money, then you get it back, and you think you got a refund.
It's the government backing that makes traditional currency reliable and accepted everywhere. This is why
it's so embedded in who we are, we can't get out.
Now let's tackle a big myth, the barter story. You've probably heard that before, money. People just traded goods directly, like, I'll give you 3 chickens for that cow. This idea is called the barter myth. The story goes that early humans started with barter, found it too complicated, and then invented money to make things easier. But here's the thing. There's no solid evidence that this ever happened. This story was popularized by Adam Smith, an economist from the 18th century, but it's more of a fairy tale than fact. Anthropologists who study human history and cultures haven't found any society that relied purely on barter. Caroline Humphrey, a well-known anthropologist, said, "No example of a barter economy, pure and simple, has ever been described. This means that no one has ever found a society that used only barter before money.
Democracy.
Why doesn't barter work well? Because of something called the double coincidence of wants. For barter to work, both parties must want what the other has. Imagine you're a baker who needs meat.
See, the Indians couldn't sign their names, so they just were told, hey, sign here, now get out.
This gets messy and complicated quickly.
That was a trade.
So while barter did happen, it wasn't the main way people traded. Money didn't evolve from barter.
There wasn't any money at Thanksgiving.
It likely came from systems of credit and debt, where people kept track of who owed what to whom. This makes money a lot older and more complex than the simple barter myth suggests. So, if the barter story isn't true, where did money really come from? The real origins of money are much more interesting and complex. Money is actually as old as human civilization itself. The earliest records of writing are all about money. Yes, you heard that right. The first things people wrote about
that's like the Bronze
Imagine
Era or whatever.
Keeping track of who owed
we go
what
back to
whom.
Lemuria.
They needed a way to record these transactions, so they invented
hieroglyphics.
This wasn't about trading chickens for cows. It was about keeping track of credits and debts within a community. Governments or local authorities always had a role in managing money. They
trade occurred. We know it. We lived it.
Economic activity.
But this is
Means
informative.
that money has always been tied to some form of state or governing body. Money wasn't something that was randomly invented one day. It evolved as people needed better ways to measure value and keep track of transactions.
Out of Germany, it was the weight of
something that developed over time to meet human needs. So, the next time you think about money, remember that it's not just a piece of paper or a coin. It's a tool that has been shaped by thousands of years of human history, government control, and the need to manage debts and credits.
I believe like
there are many misconceptions about how money evolved.
Some four-legged animal was the value of
then moved to gold and silver coins, then paper money.
This all came from Germany and then the UK.
This story makes it seem like money has become
City of London
over time, going from solid metals.
It's really
to
nothing.
numbers.
It's artificial.
But this isn't true. In reality,
it's vaporware now.
Systems came first. People have been using credit, promises to pay later, long before coins were invented. Coins and paper money came later and were used alongside
promissory notes.
Systems. Another misconception is that barter was the main way people traded before money. As we discussed, there's no evidence of a pure barter economy. Barter was mostly used by people who usually used money, but didn't have any on hand. Lastly, some people think that paper money isn't real money because it's not backed by gold or silver. But money's value comes from the state that issues it, not from the material it's made of.
Thanks to Kissinger and Nixon, he came home with the pandas,
and people needed it to pay taxes.
Gold was the backup, went out the window.
A big reason is that many economists,
you know, if you have gold coins in the U.S., what if it all goes to shit? Can you use your Cougarans here?
Adam Smith,
if they want $1 for
this story, and it stuck around.
That value,
like simple stories to explain complex.
They used to have silver certificates, $5 bills,
well
worth $5 in silver.
Markets. It suggests that money and markets naturally evolved without
the need treasury notes.
This helps promote
We're so far in debt we could never reach the bottom.
State interference. However, this isn't true. Historical and anthropological evidence shows that states have always played
a key role in creating Bill Hill passed away. I was shocked to hear that.
Economists help maintain the myth of the independent, self-regulating market. These myths also support the idea that government spending is limited by taxpayer money.
Again, we're watching for a minute.
Money is scarce and comes from barter. They are less likely to support policies where the state creates money to invest in public goods and services.
Good. Let's move to that.
History of money, it's clear that money is much more than pieces of paper or digital numbers. It's a tool that has,
as I said, we oversave for ourselves when you do have a good job. And,
how money really works.
I mean, you do work hard overtime, and some guys get ahead of it, and they have a happy retirement, and they're dead. And other guys are working way the fuck past 65 because they have to.
Thanks for watching, and remember,
with or without
money is the first step
Social Security, FDR, where's that trust fund? They took it already. So, that's that. We got more to come. Okay, this is about as dark as it's going to get. You saw some of my writing, I hope. It's a little bit small to read. But here's the truth. There's 13 illuminated bloodlines. The last one is Li. L-I or L-E-E, over in China. That's the capitalist part of Taiwan. And Chiang Kai-shek retreated there. Mao Zedong took the Communist Party where it is now, and Chairman Xi's on top of it. Thankfully, he's a good man. Remember now, after he met with Biden over a year ago, he stopped off in Iowa and hung out with his exchange family where he learned to farm pigs. Chairman Xi's a good man, and he's a dear friend of Vlad Putin, and they got bricks. But there is the Li family, L-I or L-E-E. So it's the Dragon family in this case, because the bloodlines have gone from east to west. So it's their turn in the swing box, the last ones. And the history is that maybe 2 years ago now, this boat came out of Turkey and was making its way through the Suez Canal en route to Amsterdam, because that's where it eventually went. But along the way, it was seized very oddly, and if you looked at the radar imagery of the boat from the air, it formed the shape of a penis. They think it's funny. So the boat pulled in to port and was held for a lengthy period of time because Egypt, and al-Sisi, not the president, the son, the intel guy, Mahmoud al-Sisi. He's the man. Nostradamus talked about him. So the Ever Given was held up for a period of time for, I believe, 900, maybe not that much, 900 million. It was an amount that they got. Maybe it was 90 million, I can't say. And that's because Donald Trump starved out Egypt. And this was their way of getting back. You see, Soros and all these other guys, there's only so much they can do. And Mahmoud al-Sisi is plugged in heavy with the Mossad. He's part of that family. He got farmed out to the KGB for a while to sniff around, but he is Five Eyes, connected in on the dark side. Cop 27, Egypt is light and dark like every place else. You have the pyramids, you've got the mysteries of ancient Egypt, and that man has a lot of knowledge. So this boat was held up, the Ever Given. Now, Evergreen is the name of the Taiwanese shipping conglomerate, and that's also Hillary Clinton's SS code name for Secret Service. That's why I had written it up there on that other document, that other video. So that's the Ever Given. There's tons of shipping containers. They have foundations. The Rothschilds and the Clintons partnered up for Haiti. John Podesta wrote some crazy shit about, hey, spirit cooking, it's time to go to the volcano. So they timed it out, and they went in there after that volcano, and all the PTSD supposed people, soldiers that came back from Iraq that volunteered to go help, were Arkansas-sided. Now, if you came back from Iraq and you wanted to volunteer to continue to help, do you think that person's mentally unstable? No. But they witnessed a few things, and that was that. Suicided out or whatever, on the excuse of PTSD. That's what they do to our soldiers. Now, the Ever Given, back in the Egypt side, took off to Amsterdam after it was released, with the ransom having been paid. In the case of Haiti, you got Epstein Island, you have global trafficking, all from that volcano. And Cemex is owned by the Rothschilds, and there was a veterans group that was out searching for homeless vets out there in that region. They got onto the Cemex property, they got into an opening, and next thing you know, they're underground, and there's all kinds of remnants of freaking poles and leashes and holding on to, and you've got a massive amount of people that come across the border. So in addition to the ones they take, uncertified, I mean, they just keep them, and you don't know that they exist. But then you've got the quote-unquote illegals and anybody they can scarf up and abduct and kidnap or whatever, and they're put in a big group. There are very holy people that have been subjected to extreme stuff that you have no idea actually happens. Kaya Ra is one of them. And she beat it, she meditated, and she channeled the Sophia code. She was Joan of Arc. So this is a statement. It's a little difficult to read maybe, but the summary is that every taxpayer in this country right now owes over $93,000 to get us under control, according to the stats here provided by Google. Now, you tell me how many people have an extra 93 grand laying around. They're just hoping to get something back. The CARES Act. Now, the millionaires and billionaires that, even with accountants and everything else, they end up paying a lot of tax. I can tell you, when I worked for my company, trying to do it legit and taking all the advantages of a business, as a guy that was making a lot of money at a home-based business, with detainee processing and all kinds of other revenue generators for me and my ex-wife, we, as a family, paid over $1 million in federal tax one year. So the rich, I say that not to brag, but I'm letting you know that there are rich people richer than me that get hammered with taxes, and you just have to pay it because it's, the schedule goes up, it gets to 31%, and they just hammer you when you're rich. So there's something to complain about for rich people, and they don't like it, but they have the professional accountants that help them whittle it down. And then you have Donald Trump that just fucking adds zeros to his thing, and I did a video on Judge Erdogan, or whatever, from Great Neck, who convicted him, found him guilty, but he's going to appeal it, him and his buddy O'Keefe. But here's the summary of this. So let's get on to the Earth dollar now, just to take a look at it. In the interest of time, I'm not going to get into details on this, but if you want to go look at it, it's U.S. debt clock. Look at this baby ringing up like a fucking slot machine. It's over 35 trillion and rolling up. And right now it's 93 grand ahead, according to what Google told me. So please be advised, our dollar in America, if you're in America watching this, or you're a U.S. citizen, was the world's reserve currency for the oil. That's gone away, and it's a matter of time till they pull the rug. They push the debt up. They have meetings in Congress, and we're broke. We went broke mathematically after 99, so we're living on extreme bullshit, and that's why we need to look at the Earth dollar, because the Rothschilds in 1987 with the Rockefellers in Denver dreamed up the idea of the Earth dollar for blockchain. I was tracking it when it came out, and it's still being pushed in delays, due on around 1 January now. I'll show you their link. Let's do a brief pause. This is on my cover page. It happens to be the 1968 shekel. Boy, did they do some fortune telling on this Mossadic document. Weapons, 2 towers, and a plane. Alright, this is about the 88 magazine and predictive programming. My video is going to be well over 2 hours. It's like the longest one I've ever done.
We all know about predictive programming. It's like The Simpsons predicts everything. It's not a prediction. It's just an agenda. They are showing us things that are going to happen in the future because it's an agenda that's playing out.
Trump went down the stairs. Down the stairs.
Let's take a look at this magazine cover.
Whoa.
This is from 1988. The Economist. Get ready for
Rothschild
world
magazine.
Currency. The magazine
Earth
cover
dollar.
shows a phoenix bird rising from the ashes of burning American money.
October 2019.
At the center of the page, a bronze coin engraved with the words 10 Phoenix 2018 shines bright. The cover advertises the magazine's leading story, in which the author suggests a single unified currency could ease international financial woes.
Earth dollar.
The article's author,
15-minute
anonymous
cities.
behind an editorial team alias, envisages a modern world connected like never before. Instead of the yen or dollar or rupee, the Phoenix coin would dominate. There would be no need for expensive international currency transfers or cumbersome money wires. Everyone would be using the same coin, the Phoenix coin. Check this out. I want you to take note of this logo, okay? When the movie Interstellar rolled out, the same logo is on the front cover of this movie. Now,
they have
what
a
lot
token
of people
too.
don't know is this is the same logo for Stellar, or XLM, which is a cryptocurrency. Woo. So think about this for a second. In the second movie cover, Interstellar, they have Stellar highlighted right here. So, what do you think they're trying to tell you? Take another look. Maybe it's just a coincidence, or maybe it's predictive programming at its finest. Predictive programming is a theory that the government or other higher-ups are using fictional movies or books as a mass mind control tool
Dead on.
to make the population more accepting
Nazi
of
science.
planned future events.
VLF.
This was first described and proposed by researcher Alan Watt, who defines predictive programming as predictive programming is a subtle form of psychological conditioning provided by the media to acquaint the public with planned societal changes to be implemented by our leaders. If and when these changes are put through, the public will already be familiarized with them and will accept them as a natural progression.
I love him, Alan Watt.
Thus lessening possible public resistance and commotion. The most notable cases of predictive programming are the examples found in The Simpsons, The Dark Knight Rises, Hunger Games, and The Oldest Being.
Hunger Games, that's West Texas.
30 years from now, Americans, Japanese, Europeans, and people in many other rich countries, and some relatively poor ones, will probably be paying for their shopping with the same
of the
currency.
Pecos.
Prices will not be quoted in dollars, yen, or D-marks, but in, let's say, the Phoenix.
There is one oasis
the Phoenix
out
will be
there
favored
that I've
by
been
companies
to.
and shoppers because
Right
it
here.
will be more convenient than today's
RG Reynolds, baby.
which
Army
by
all
then
the
will
way.
seem a quaint cause of
What's
much
an oasis?
disruption to economic life in the late 20th century, says the first paragraph of the article. The Phoenix Zone would impose tight constraints on national governments. There would be no such thing, for instance, as national monetary policy.
Body activity data.
The world Phoenix supply would be fixed by a new central bank.
Bill Gates,
descended
26
perhaps from
March,
the IMF.
2020.
The world inflation rate, and hence,
You're
within
Microsoft
narrow margins,
nerd.
each national inflation rate would
Draco,
be in its
though.
charge. Each country could use taxes and public spending to offset temporary
Kevin
falls
What's-his
in
ass
demand,
was like the
but it would
fake
have to
wife
borrow
sometimes.
rather than print money to finance its budget deficit. With no recourse to the inflation tax, governments and their creditors would be forced to judge their borrowing and lending plans more carefully than they do today. This means a big loss of economic sovereignty. But the trends that make the Phoenix
America's
so appealing are taking that
trouble at the
sovereignty
government
away
level,
in any
so.
case. Now
Thankfully,
listen to this.
you know, Putin
The
doesn't
Phoenix
blame
would
the
probably
citizens
start
of this
as a
country.
cocktail of national
Please
currencies.
know that.
Just as the
He's
special
a
drawing
benevolent
right is today.
dictator.
In time,
He
though,
talked to Tucker
its value
Carlson,
against national
explained
currencies
about
would
how he
cease
tried
to
to
matter,
talk to Clinton
because
about
people would
joining
choose it for its
NATO, Billy
convenience
Ahab.
and the stability
So he went
of its
to Bush
purchasing
and came
power.
back and said, not
And
now,
the most important part.
NATO.
The alternative to preserve policymaking autonomy
That's
would
the
involve
euro.
a new
That's CERN.
proliferation of truly draconian controls on
Draconian.
trade and capital flows.
Draco.
This course offers governments a splendid time. They could manage exchange
There's
rate
the man.
movements, deploy monetary and fiscal policy
Brother,
without
I told
inhibition.
the Senator's
It is a
consultant about
growth-crippling
EU.
prospect. Pencil in the Phoenix for around 2018, and welcome it when it comes.
Hey, it happened in October
Interesting, huh?
2019. Mill Olympics, Wuhan. Bill Gates did Event 201. The Chinese delegation came over. And the dealing dickhead screwed our country over. The man who wants to be president, Donald John Trump. He got. Well, when he dropped in, his uncle was John Trump. They got all Tesla stuff, took it to CERN, and we've been running it. Vatican II is over with Bush. Trump is a fucking Martian, and he's gonna die when he TikToks out. Alright, next. This is another flick on a Mossad operation that I'm not gonna bother with due to time. But I wanted to show you two things. So this is Bill Hill, and he's at his retirement party. We'll just listen to him for a second. This is the guy that did the history of money. I learned a lot from him. So he joined this particular company, and that's the owner right there. I want to show you what the company does. He was very happy working there. He'd be dead. This is December. He was dead February. So he retired and died.
I was in a bureaucratic nightmare where nobody gave a fuck.
So he decided to go to work for him.
Tony's heard bits of this, and you may not have heard.
All right, stand by. So Tony is the boss. This is the company that Bill Hill went to work
School
for.
buses carry precious cargo. It's your
precious
job to
cargo.
deliver them safely and efficiently. And it's our job to help you do
It's not a
that.
shipping container.
TransFinder's technology and your local knowledge go hand in hand.
TransFinder.
Our solutions simplify your life and put you in control. With our routing solution, you will create your stops and routes faster and more easily than with any other system on the
I
market
guess if
today.
you have a business that does deliveries or transportation, there's advantages here. And Bill Hill had a great time working there. He's not with us anymore. So I just wanted to show you this.
We
That's
also
it.
give you the power to analyze actual versus your planned routes by taking your GPS data to another level. And you can do it all from the comfort of your office.
All right, homework.
You can display.
So there was a guy named Mike Morales. I'm going to talk about people who have passed here recently. I don't know if you know this, but Will Smith, the guy from Men in Black, who bitch slapped Chris Rock at the last Emmys or whatever it was, because he said something about his wife. He's dead. He just died the other day. The guy can't be 50 yet. He was a sitcom star, rapper, then became a movie giant, and he's dead. So Mike Morales was a sort of a space weather guy who knew how to work all the systems from Pacific Gas and Electric, where they start forest fires. It's the Rothschilds, it's their electric company. Just like Cemex is their concrete company, and they have a patent for blood in their kit. So Mike used to talk about above ground news and show us what was going on. He had a deep, raspy voice, and his brother had passed away, and now he's not with us anymore. So I'd like you to remember him. He's got a channel on YouTube that I think is still functional. And he would mention the Three Gorges Dam. So we're going to talk about that briefly and watch a movie, a very recent one from July of 2024, from a provider who's keeping up with it. Know that that's the largest producer of Bitcoin right now. I may have mentioned it earlier, but if it goes, because Trump hates China, the Mossad wants to take it out. If they could do the Twin Towers, and they could do Miami, and they could do Al Jazeera demo drops, they know how to destroy shit. And so, if the Three Gorges goes, either by nature or by them, it's going to terminate a lot of people. And it's at the edge right now. So let's watch that. Start from the beginning. Cool.
Hello everyone. This channel provides the latest information on the Three Gorges Dam. If you are interested, please subscribe to our channel. Everyone loves the Three Gorges Dam. As of 8 a.m. local time on July 7, the water level of the Three Gorges Dam was 159.23 meters, rising about 3 meters compared to the water level on the 3rd of this month.
You know, call that
Looking at this
175
dam
yards.
from the upstream side, the water level seems to be around the line
Guessing.
indicated.
A
As of
meter
9
longer
a.m.
than a
today,
yard.
flow rates at upstream observation stations were 15,800 cubic meters per second, and inflow into the Three Gorges Dam was 21,000 cubic meters per second. Therefore, after subtraction, the total value from around the dam and from tributaries was 5,200 cubic meters per second. Inflow into the Three Gorges Dam is decreasing.
So the hydroelectric
As
power
of 8 a.m., the total discharge
them
from the Three
the
Gorges
energy they
Dam was
need
18,400
mine
cubic meters
Bitcoin.
per second. The maximum hydroelectric discharge capacity of this dam is 31,000 cubic
they
meters
have
per
places
second.
all over the
So it
earth
is estimated to be
trying
at
do this, 'cause if
59%
you
power
complete it, you get
generation,
it.
which means that there are around 19 hydroelectric turbines in operation. Recently, they have increased the discharge.
Nishi Yang Channel.
They say Bitcoin won't be one second.
The Three Gorges Dam released by the Hunan Provincial Hydrological Bureau of China. The discharge volume, shown in black, had been constant all day until a few days ago, but since the 5th of this month, they have been increasing the volume. The inflow volume, shown in green, is currently decreasing. The rate at which the water level is rising has slowed down as the amount of water entering the dam and the amount of water leaving the dam have become balanced. Now, do you know that heavy rains in the downstream area of the Three Gorges Dam have caused the river to rise above the warning level, flooding cities? The relative locations of the Three Gorges Dam in relation to the main downstream observation stations of Dongting Lake, Wuhan, and Poyang Lake are shown here. As of 9 a.m. on July 4th, the respective flow rates were as shown, and as all of the downstream observation stations were experiencing significant flows, the Three Gorges Dam was reducing the amount of water released. And here is the flow rate at 3 p.m.
China doesn't have too much arable land for growing things, so they need food to feed all the people. There's billions of them there.
It still remains above the warning water level. Furthermore, at the observation station of downstream Poyang Lake, the flow rate has not decreased but has actually increased slightly. Naturally, the warning water level remains above. It is likely that the Three Gorges Dam has increased the amount of water it releases because the amount of water in Dongting Lake and Wuhan City has decreased slightly.
Wuhan.
By the way, the flow rate from exactly 1 month ago, on June 6th, when there was no flooding and the conditions were relatively calm, is shown in green. Although the flow rate is decreasing compared to 2 days ago, I think you can understand that the situation is currently critically severe. Given the current situation, our channel predicts that there is a possibility that the release of water from the dam will be increased. The reason for this is the contents of an emergency report released by the Yangtze River Water Conservancy Commission at 8 a.m. on July 5th. This is only issued when heavy rain has occurred or is predicted, and it includes graphs with information on the Three Gorges Dam.
You know, they seed some clouds, the Rothschilds. I said, Mike Morales watched this. They control it all.
The inflow volume,
satellites and everything else,
fluctuates slightly
to start fires, not only in America.
The discharge volume of the orange line is not listed, but the only way to make it this way is to increase the discharge volume. As mentioned earlier, from the dam will be increased. The reason for this is the contents of an emergency report released by the Yangtze River Water Conservancy Commission at 8 a.m. on July 5th. This is only issued when heavy rain has occurred or is predicted, and it includes graphs with information on the Three Gorges Dam.
You know, they seed some clouds, the Rothschilds. I said, Mike Morales watched this. They control it all.
The inflow volume,
satellites and everything else,
fluctuates slightly
to start fires, not only in America.
The discharge volume of the orange line is not listed, but the only way to make it this way is to increase the discharge volume. As mentioned earlier, the levees of Dongting Lake broke on the afternoon of July 5th, but this information has not been taken into account. After researching, I found that the location of the breach was in northern Hunan province, relatively close to the Yangtze River. As you can see from Windy, the weather conditions for the last 12 hours are as follows. The rain clouds in the lower reaches of the Yangtze are finally weakening, and the rain has subsided for the time being. Upstream, around Chongqing and in the Sichuan Basin, developed clouds have appeared, and this has been a focus of our channel recently. The Three Gorges Dam has 3 important roles: flood control, power generation, and ship navigation. On the other hand, there are many issues to be solved, such as sedimentation caused by sand accumulating in reservoirs, destruction of the ecosystem and other environments, widespread climate change, cracks in concrete, and the ever-increasing garbage problem. They choose the optimal water level from the viewpoint of hydroelectric power generation, ship operation, etc., and continue to say that it is safe and secure. Is that correct? In particular, I have doubts about the recent water level situation. As far as our channel has researched, the area covered by the Three Gorges Dam is the area indicated by the red line. Next, let's look at future forecasts. As the rainy season front moves north, the rain around the dam and upstream has subsided for the time being. Today's weather at the Three Gorges Dam is forecast to be cloudy with occasional sunny spells. With a maximum temperature of 36 degrees Celsius and a minimum temperature of 25 degrees Celsius, next week, long rain clouds will appear on the north side of the Yangtze River and move
volcanoes, all the
south.
shit, the wind and everything
Judging
pushed
from
over
this,
from
things will
Africa
start
to
get
America,
hectic
whips
again
around
downstream of the
Cuba.
Yangtze. At the
That's
same
how
time,
Katrina happened.
operators of the Three Gorges Dam may be forced to make a difficult choice, whether to save the upstream or the downstream.
You know, they did the Hoover Dam for us.
Now, when you think of the Three
Colorado
Gorges Dam,
River.
many viewers probably have images of great floods and hydroelectric power generation. Surprisingly, it is also a popular tourist spot in China. It is reported that
They got
the
a
number
great
of
wall.
visitors...
Okay, this is about as dark as it's going to get. You saw some of my writing, I hope. It's a little bit small to read. But here's the truth. There's 13 illuminated bloodlines. The last one is Li, L-I or L-E-E, over in China. That's the capitalist part of Taiwan. And Chiang Kai-shek retreated there. Mao Zedong took the Communist Party where it is now, and Chairman Xi's on top of it. Thankfully, he's a good man. Remember now, after he met with Biden over a year ago, he stopped off in Iowa and hung out with his exchange family where he learned to farm pigs. Chairman Xi's a good man, and he's a dear friend of Vladimir Putin, and they got bricks. But there is the Li family. L-I or L-E-E. So it's the Dragon family in this case, because the bloodlines have gone from east to west. So it's their turn in the swing box, the last ones. And the history is that maybe 2 years ago now, this boat came out of Turkey and was making its way through the Suez Canal en route to Amsterdam, because that's where it eventually went. But along the way, it was seized very oddly, and if you looked at the radar imagery of the boat from the air, it formed the shape of a penis. They think it's funny. So the boat pulled in to port and was held for a lengthy period of time because Egypt and Al-Sisi, not the president, the son, the intel guy, Mahmoud Al-Sisi, he's the man. Nostradamus talked about him. So the Evergreen was held up for a period of time for, I believe, 900, maybe not that much, 900 million. It was an amount that they got. Maybe it was 90 million, I can't say. And that's because Donald Trump starved out Egypt. And this was their way of getting back. You see, Soros and all these other guys, there's only so much they can do. And Mahmoud Al-Sisi is plugged in heavy with the Mossad. He's part of that family. He got farmed out to the KGB for a while to sniff around, but he is Five Eyes. Connected in on the dark side. COP27, Egypt is light and dark like every place else. You have the pyramids, you've got the mysteries of ancient Egypt, and that man has a lot of knowledge. So this boat was held up, the Evergreen. Now Evergreen is the name of the Taiwanese shipping conglomerate, and that's also Hillary Clinton's SS code name for Secret Service. That's why I had written it up there on that other document, that other video. So that's the Evergreen. There's tons of shipping containers. They have foundations. The Rothschilds and the Clintons partnered up for Haiti. John Podesta wrote some crazy shit about, hey, spirit cooking, it's time to go to the volcano. So they timed it out and they went in there after that volcano, and all the PTSD supposed people, soldiers that came back from Iraq that volunteered to go help, were Arkancided. Now, if you came back from Iraq and you wanted to volunteer to continue to help, do you think that person's mentally unstable? No. but they witnessed a few things, and that was that. Suicided out or whatever, under the excuse of PTSD. That's what they do to our soldiers. Now, the Evergreen, back in the Egypt side, took off to Amsterdam after it was released, with the ransom having been paid. In the case of Haiti, you got Epstein Island, you have global trafficking, all from that volcano. And Cemex is owned by the Rothschilds, and there was a veterans group that was out searching for homeless vets out there in that region. They got onto the Cemex property, they got into an opening, and next thing you know, they're underground, and there's all kinds of remnants of freaking poles and leashes and holding on to, and you know, you've got a massive amount of people that come across the border. So in addition to the ones they take, uncertified, I mean, they just keep them, and that you don't know that they exist. But then you've got the quote-unquote illegals and anybody they can scarf up and abduct and kidnap or whatever, and they're put in a big group. There are very holy people that have been subjected to extreme stuff that you have no idea actually happens. Kaya Ra is one of them, and she beat it, she meditated, and she channeled the Sophia code. She was Joan of Arc. So this is a statement. It's a little difficult to read maybe, but the summary is that every taxpayer in this country right now owes over $93,000 to get us under control, according to the stats here provided by Google. Now you tell me how many people have an extra 93 grand laying around. They're just hoping to get something back. You know, the CARES Act. Now the millionaires and billionaires that, you know, even with accountants and everything else, they end up paying a lot of tax. I can tell you, when I worked for my company trying to do it legit and taking all the advantages of a business, as a guy that was making a lot of money, yet have a home-based business with detainee processing and all kinds of other revenue generators for me and my ex-wife, we, as a family, paid over $1 million in federal tax one year. So the rich, I say that not to brag, but I'm letting you know that there are rich people richer than me that get hammered with taxes, and you just have to pay it because it's, you know, the schedule goes up, it gets to 31%, and they just hammer you when you're rich. So there's something to complain about for rich people, and they don't like it, but they have the professional accountants that help them whittle it down. And then you have Donald Trump that just fucking adds zeros to his thing, and I did a video on Judge Erdogan, or whatever, from Great Neck, who convicted him, found him guilty, but he's going to appeal it, him and his buddy O'Keefe. But here's the summary of this. So let's get on to the Earth dollar now, just to take a look at it. In the interest of time, I'm not going to get into details on this, but if you want to go look at it, it's U.S. debt clock. Look at this baby ringing up like a fucking slot machine. It's over 35 trillion and rolling up. And right now it's 93 grand ahead, according to what Google told me. So please be advised, our dollar in America, if you're in America watching this, or you're a U.S. citizen, was the world's reserve currency for the oil. That's gone away, and it's a matter of time till they pull the rug. They push the debt up. They have meetings in Congress, and we're broke. We went broke mathematically after 99, so we're living on extreme bullshit, and that's why we need to look at the Earth dollar, because the Rothschilds in 1987 with the Rockefellers in Denver dreamed up the idea of the Earth dollar for blockchain. I was tracking it when it came out, and it's still being pushed in delays, due on around 1 January now. I'll show you their link. Let's do a brief pause. This is on my cover page. It happens to be the 1968 shekel. Boy, did they do some fortune telling on this Mosadic document. Weapons, 2 towers, and a plane. So you can find this all yourself, but this is a summary of the Earth dollar. You can see it's headquartered out of Switzerland for some reason, but it's really China. And they just have a way of doing it. All things lead to Switzerland because they wear the mask. And that's true. There are 4 mountainsides that express us, an inner Earth. The Hopi, the Swiss, the Kenyans, and Tibet. Mountainsides with inscriptions on them. Where does the blood go? I'm going to ask again. The Red Cross. The Red Cross screwed up a man named Robinson from the Philippines. He ended up being a homeless vet because his wife didn't die like they told him. Now he got to go back after 55 years last year to go reunite with his family. But they intentionally, walled the information away. They compartmented it away. They kept him on the boat. Hey, your family's gone. And, he sucked it up and went back to America. How sad. Robinson. Michael Robinson. Obama. Michelle. Put it together. So here's the Earth Dollar's current page. They got the whales. They got elk. They got moose. They're putting the whole natural thing on it. And another tick-tock countdown. If you do the math, it's somewhere around the first of the year, it was supposed to be sometime after, into the summer, and they keep pushing the date back. Alright, so that's the Earth Dollar. Alright, this is about the 88 magazine and predictive programming. My video is going to be well over 2 hours. It's like the longest one I've ever done.
We all know about predictive programming. It's like The Simpsons predicts everything. It's not a prediction. It's just an agenda. They are showing us things that are going to happen in the future because it's an agenda that's playing out.
Trump went down the stairs. Down the stairs.
Let's take a look at this magazine cover.
Whoa.
This is from 1988. The Economist. Get ready for
Rothschild
world
magazine.
currency. The magazine
Earth
cover
dollar.
shows a phoenix bird rising from the ashes of burning American money.
October 2019.
At the center of the page, a bronze coin engraved with the words 10 Phoenix 2018 shines bright. The cover advertises the magazine's leading story, in which the author suggests a single unified currency could ease international financial woes.
Earth dollar.
The article's author,
15-minute
anonymous
cities.
behind an editorial team alias, envisages a modern world connected like never before. Instead of the yen or dollar or rupee, the Phoenix coin would dominate. There would be no need for expensive international currency transfers or cumbersome money wires. Everyone would be using the same coin. The Phoenix coin. Check this out. I want you to take note of this logo, okay? When the movie Interstellar rolled out, the same logo is on the front cover of this movie. Now,
they
what
have
a lot of people
too.
don't know is this is the same logo for Stellar, or XLM, which is a cryptocurrency. Woo! So think about this for a second. In the second movie cover, Interstellar, they have Stellar highlighted right here. So, what do you think they're trying to tell you? Take another look. Maybe it's just a coincidence, or maybe it's predictive programming at its finest. Predictive programming is a theory that the government or other higher-ups are using fictional movies or books as a mass mind control tool to make the population more accepting of planned future events. This was first described and proposed by researcher Alan Watt, who defines predictive programming as predictive programming is a subtle form of psychological conditioning provided by the media to acquaint the public with planned societal changes to be implemented by our leaders. If and when these changes are put through, The public
One
will
life to
already be
live.
familiarized
Son,
with them
his son
and
publishes
will
it.
accept them as natural progression.
I love him. Alan Watt.
Progressions, thus lessening possible public resistance and commotion. The most notable cases of predictive programming are the examples
Yoo-hoo!
found in The
There he
Simpsons,
goes.
The Dark Knight Rises,
Homer.
Hunger Games, and The Oldest Being
Hunger
from
Games.
Futility.
That's West Texas.
30
hunt
years
children.
from now, Americans, Japanese, Europeans, and people in many other rich countries, and some relatively poor ones, will probably be paying for their shopping with the
West
same
of the
currency.
Pecos.
Prices will not be quoted in dollars, yen, or D-marks, but in, let's say, the Phoenix.
There is one
The
oasis
Phoenix will
out
be
there,
favored
though, that
by
I've been
companies
to.
and shoppers because
Right
it
here.
will be more convenient than today's
RG
national
Reynolds, baby.
currencies, which
Army
by
all the
then will seem
way.
a quaint cause of
What's
much
an oasis?
disruption to economic life in the late 20th century, says the first paragraph of the article. The Phoenix Zone would impose tight constraints on national governments. There would be no such thing, for instance, as national monetary policy.
Body activity
The
data.
world Phoenix supply would be fixed by a new central bank.
Bill Gates,
descended
26
perhaps from
March,
the IMF.
2020.
The world inflation rate, and hence,
You're
within
Microsoft
narrow margins,
nerd.
each national inflation rate
Draco,
would be in its
though.
charge. Each country could use taxes and public spending to offset temporary
Kevin
falls
What's-His
in
ass
demand,
was like the
but it
fake
would have
wife
to borrow
sometimes.
rather than print money to finance its budget deficit. With no recourse to the inflation tax, governments and their creditors would be
the
forced to
Fed.
judge their borrowing and lending plans more carefully than they do today.
They
This
run it.
means a big loss of economic sovereignty. But the trends that make the Phoenix
America's
so
in
appealing are
big
taking that
trouble at the
sovereignty
government
away
level,
in any
so.
case. Now
Thankfully,
listen to this.
you know, Putin
The
doesn't
Phoenix
blame
would
the
probably
citizens
start
of this
as a
country.
cocktail of national
Please
currencies.
know that.
Just as the
He's a
special drawing
benevolent
right is today.
dictator.
In time,
He
though,
talked to Tucker
its value
Carlson,
against national
explained
currencies
about how
would
he
cease
tried
to
to
matter,
talk to Clinton
because
about
people would
joining
choose it for its
NATO, Billy
convenience
Ahab.
and the stability
So he
of
went
its
to Bush
purchasing
and came
power.
back and said, not
And
now,
the most important part.
NATO.
The alternative to preserve policymaking autonomy
That's
would
the
involve
euro.
a new
That's CERN.
proliferation of truly draconian controls on
Draconian.
trade and capital flows.
Draco.
This course offers governments a splendid time. They could manage exchange
There's the
rate
man.
movements, deploy monetary and fiscal policy
Throwing
without
right. All
inhibition.
the senators
It is
consult
a
him about
growth-crippling
EU.
prospect. Pencil in the Phoenix for around 2018, and welcome it when it comes.
Hey, it happened in October
Interesting, huh?
2019. Mill Olympics, Wuhan. Bill Gates did Event 201. The Chinese delegation came over. And the dealing dickhead screwed our country over. The man who wants to be president, Donald John Trump. He got. Well, when he dropped in, his uncle was John Trump. They got all Tesla stuff, took it to CERN, and we've been running it. Vatican II is over with Bush. Trump is a fucking Martian, and he's gonna die when he TikToks out. Alright, next. This is another flick on a Mossad operation that I'm not gonna bother with due to time. But I wanted to show you two things. So this is Bill Hill, and he's at his retirement party. We'll just listen to him for a second. This is the guy that did the history of money. I learned a lot from him. So he joined this particular company, and that's the owner right there. I want to show you what the company does. He was very happy working there. He'd be dead. This is December. He was dead February. So he retired and died.
I hated learning. I was in a bureaucratic nightmare where nobody gave a hoot.
So he decided to go to work for him.
Tony's heard bits of this. He may not have heard.
All right, stand by. So Tony is the boss. This is the company that Bill Hill went to work
Your school
for.
buses carry precious cargo. It's your
Precious
job
cargo.
to deliver them safely and efficiently. And it's our job to help you do
It's not
that.
a shipping container.
TransFinder's technology and your local knowledge go hand in hand.
TransFinder.
Our solutions simplify your life and put you in control. With our routing solution, you will create your stops and routes faster and more easily than with any other system on the market
I guess
today.
if you have a business that does deliveries or transportation, there's advantages here. And Bill Hill had a great time working there. He's not with us anymore. So I just wanted to show you this.
We
That's
also
it.
give you the power to analyze actual versus your planned routes by taking your GPS data to another level. And you can do it all from the comfort of your office.
Woo! All
With
right,
access to
homework.
Berth, you can display.
Dad, you answer also. Okay, Ivanka, what's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
Milner has it, throws to Buddy Harrelson, one, to first.